Hello, everybody. It is your professor, Rocco, your boy, rocking. You might notice this. Try to do a little improvement on the channel here. I think I fixed my video pretty well. So here's how you can tell at home. If it looks like I'm wearing a goatee now instead of a beard, that's because it was so fuzzy before you couldn't see. And I shaved this morning, and it's just already stubbly. It's all right, so that problem, I think we finally fixed it. We finally nailed that son of a gun down. Next, this class will be another Age of Sigmar class. My little legalized marinara shirt, because I feel like with the goatee, I gotta be a bad guy here. I gotta go and hit you with some hard facts. We need to talk about what everyone keeps asking me questions about, and that is, hey Rocco, we heard you play Living City. Did you hear about what happened at the Las Vegas Open? Why can't you win 9 games in a row? I'm like, well, you jerk. I don't roll that well. Anyway, uh, you know, and two is how do you? The real question is how do you beat Living City? Because for people who've never played the army or played against it or played as any of it, it's a very niche pick that I've been playing for 2 years to good results, not bad. Um, and it's an army that is built around exposing weaknesses in your opponent's strategies and plans more so than being a hard counter for things. So I keep getting asked, what do you do? And so we're going to start off here. All right. So this is a Rocco Masterclass. How do you kick Rocco's butt? Okay. So first off, when you're playing Living City, you need to go and get the proper codex and battle. This one. Just get out of here. Get out of here. Cities of Sigmar. The beauty of this book is that you are a jack of all trades, master of none. All right. The thing about cities is you are hundreds of war scrolls for stuff that generally all do similar things, but you can flavor it depending on whether you want a certain type of elf, you want dwarves, you want humans, and you can mix and match units to counter any kind of situation you come up with. And more importantly, 1 out of every 4 units in your army can be a Stormcast unit. And also, depending on the city, you can get access to other rosters of books. So when you're game planning for Cities of Sigmar, you just have so many options to go through that generally you'll never see, which is why I could get away with a bunch of stuff in Living City where people just never saw it coming because they never thought to plan for it. Everyone's scared of the Iron Drakes and Tempest Eye before it was the Hammerhallian Battalion, when battalions were still a thing and not pushed into narrative play. And it's I got hair too. I got hair in my head, hair in my face. It's a great time. Looking at me in HD, dang it. But Cities of Sigmar in itself can be whatever the player wants it to be. And with cities such as Living City, my home turf, my love of this book, we tend to be able to go against the shooting meta very well, and can be okay with being anti-magic. Why is that? So to start with Cities of Sigmar, our main rules are for every unit we put on the table, we can put one in reserve, and our reserve is the bad ambush. Now there's two types of reserve things for what I like. I say, because there's the good one, which is just 9 inches away anywhere on the table from your opponent's units, or the bad one, which is you're locked within 6 inches of a table edge and 9 inches away from your opponent's units. And this is a rant. I know some people are like, oh, why aren't you doing this on TTS or slides? Listen, I need to be direct with you. Okay, dear viewer? Oh, student of mine, this is serious. Okay. So, getting on to this. we have the bad deep striking. This is the deep striking Beast of Chaos kind of have. They have it worse than us, though, because we can hold our units in reserve up until Battle Round 3. If they don't come out at the end of the movement phase, Battle Round 3, they're dead. They're left off the table. They don't count for anything. The other big trick of Living City is that everyone uses is at the end of the shooting phase, we can pick one of our units that has shot in the shooting phase. It it didn't have to hit, it didn't have to wound, it didn't have to do damage. It just had to shoot. We can spend a command point, and that unit can make a normal move. You have to be wholly within 18 inches of a Living City hero, though, so it is restrictive. If you kill all the Living City heroes, they cannot use this command ability on the units from a sergeant. Again, you have to kill the heroes. But 2 years ago, when this book was nice and hot, and I got my 15 minutes of fame on the internet, I used fulminators. In the new Stormcast book that I jokingly had put up here, fulminators got really, really good. So I went from being, they're great defensively into shooting, to now they're just raw damage. Each rider has 5 spear attacks at -2 Ren, 3 damage when they charge. And then the mounts have 3 attacks each at -2 Ren, 2 damage. I like them in a unit of 4. And you just do the math, and all of a sudden you're taking out a Mega Gargant if you roll bad. The problem is, in Stormcast, it's kind of hard to set up that charge and guarantee it. In Living City, these fulminators can move, shoot, the rest of your army shoots, you shoot a hole through their screens, and then move again to be outside of 3 inches of your opponent, and then you just beat the snot out of them. Which is what you're seeing with fulminators now, with the new dragons. There's a lot of play in this army for units that can move and shoot and move again, or coming in from a deep strike. You can see this with chariots sometimes as well. With the Dreadlord on Black Dragon at one point with a crossbow was a big thing, because you need to have a shooting attack that's longer than 9 inches, because again, you can't be within 9 inches of someone you pop up from reserve. So there are some caveats. But those are the 2 big things here. Awesome mobility, and the ability to move again after deep striking. Now, how does this parlay into you, dear viewer? And, how do you deal with this? Because that's the other thing, too. The strength of this is shooting. Cities is a really good shooting army. They're jack of all trades, but a lot of those trades involve a crossbow, a gun, a flamethrower. There's a harpoon launcher on one of the chariots, too, I think. But you get the point here. What do? So, as what happens to me a lot, your opponents have to follow this nice little plan, and then it just makes the game really hard. All right. Step 1, you say we need to talk. You say just sit down. It's just no. I'm not cutting that either. My director giggled at that. I'm keeping that in. Step 1 is screen your table edges. Okay? Because here's the thing, if someone's putting in like a unit of fulminators, that is a big footprint of models. They have to fit all 4 of them on the table. If you have like a bunch of zombies just clogging up, it's going to look like you're playing your army in a U, where it's just screens and screens. I'm going to do this better on the side here. Screens on the side, screens in your backfield. You have 18 inches between 2 of your units that your opponent cannot show up in with big old models. This doesn't even have to look like there's a famous picture about like Kroot screening someone's deployment zone because they've got some weird deployment because the guy didn't put anything on the table, and then because he couldn't fit on the table, his whole army died. We don't even have to go that extreme. Just make it so that when you're given first turn, because guess what? Living Cities is a shooting army. They want you to go first so they can double turn you. Make it so that you move up the board and you control almost everything but the back the very back table edge, so they cannot pop out 500 points of fulminators to go and kill your stuff. Alright? We've got cheap disposable units to do that in almost every army, whether it's Aether Wings and Stormcast, whether it's zombies and Soulbright Gravelords. There is something somewhere with a big enough footprint, because it doesn't even have to be that big. It's just you got it 2 units of birds, right? 2-3 main units of birds. If they're fell bats, even 2 units of fell bats, there's a line. Because 9 inches from one unit of fell bat, 9 inches from another, that is 18 inches. Because we are doing maths today, people, that cannot be filled with stuff on big cavalry bases. Might be able to fit like a 25mm hero in there, but they ain't gonna put the whole unit. Alright? That's why actually going against armies like Beast of Chaos and Skaven are hard for Living City. Because you play around knotholes that are impassable and we can't show up on. And Beast of Chaos also come in from a table edge. So we're fighting for space to show up. And it's just like a big game where it's just a border of models and you're trading out screens. Alright? Number 2, if you are given the first turn versus a shooting army, there is no rule in this game saying you have to move up into the middle of the board. There isn't. Okay? And if you move within the effective shooting range of a shooting army, and that, by effective shooting range, my definition is if the unit can add their movement range plus the range of their weapon. So let's take crossbows, right? Let's go long strikes. Everyone's scared of long strikes. They're a 30-inch threat range, right? But they move 5 inches. So 30 plus 5 is 35 inches. Now, what? Handguns are 16. Human crossbows, I believe, are 24 off the top of my head. So we're looking at like a 29-inch threat range there. Long strikes will outrange you, but not every army is that. Not every army is frickin' Lumineth Realm Lord Sentinels, where they have a spell to give them an extra 6 inches. Then they double move for another 12 inches. You know, not every army. There's one army. Just one army with that. With those spells that cannot be taken outside of Lumineth Realm Lords. Cities of Sigmar can take some Lumineth units in a certain subfaction, but they're not as good. But if we're dealing with Living City, half the time, the long-range shooting is going to pop up to support the fulminators to shoot a hole through. But if they started on the table, your opponent's thinking, hey, wouldn't it be funny if this dude just moved up so I could shoot him? And in Age of Sigmar, you can pre-measure. And if they have outdropped you, it is your job in deployment to be like, okay, hey, how far do those crossbows shoot? How far can they move? All right, can they run and shoot? No? Can't run and shoot. Just move up and shoot. All right, let me measure out 29 inches. I'm going to be 30 inches back. The table's got smaller, but there's ways, especially if you could still hold the objectives, depending on the battle plan, to just back up. And a lot of battle plans at Age of Sigmar 3rd edition are hold 1 point, hold 2 points, hold more. It didn't mean hold all of them. If you have an ability to return units back from the dead, or if you have the ability to regenerate units, bring models back, add them through spells, necromancy, I don't know. If you can have expendable bodies, throw them up to take a point. You do it cheaply. Send the Aether Wings. Maybe send like a small unit of zombies to go and hold a point. Score some points. Have a good time. Score your battle tactics. Score it with monsters. Don't walk your whole army into shooting range of the other person's army when they gave you top of 1. Because what happens in Age of Sigmar is the double turn is either a step on your neck and end the game mechanic or a comeback mechanic. Alright, now if you're going against a shooting army, you want it to be a comeback mechanic. Because it's going to feel like the Activation Wars back in 2nd, where they're just fighting all the time. That's because it's shooting. And if it's a shooting army, they probably brought some stuff to buff their guys to be good. If they're starting out on the table already. So limit their choices, make it so that they have to waste a turn moving up to you. And you know what? If they get the double turn, great. Then you only take 1 turn worth of damage. That's it. That's it. And most of your stuff's gonna live. Because you know what? They had to move closer to you. And then you move up and fight them. Because if they moved up to get into shooting range and to try some stuff, you know what? They might have overextended. They had to walk closer to you. And then if you double turn, you get into them. And if not, you've got a nice little back and forth going for where you can trade units properly. But you cannot, not screen out their big stuff that is known for killing Mega Gargants. I had a unit of 4 Fulminators wipe a unit of 4 Dragons. I did. That's how I've beaten Oops All Dragons myself. With Living City. A lot of mortal wound shooting. My own Fulminators coming in to mess some people up. Now, is that going to work for everybody? No. Does everybody have a unit that can take out a 500-point unit? Think like a Maw Crusher. Think the 4 Fulminators. Think 4 Dragons. Think, Think offensive eels. A Deepkin Turtle can do it. Big power pieces. Look in your army for that. Maybe it's a Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon. Maybe it's a souped up Vengorian Lord. Maybe you allied in a Mega Gargant. I don't know. But most armies should have some way to go about that. But by just moving up with no screens and walking into shooting range, the Living City player who gave you first turn, because that's our whole bag. That's it. That's all we want. We want to give away first turn and then shoot you to death and run you down with Fulminators. That's it. That's all we're trying to do. Whole army. If they gave javelins to Wild Riders that do similar damage but are so much cheaper, I would take them. But they don't have javelins. They just have spears. If I got on the rules team, I will totally put javelins on them. But that's not the point. Because that's the future. Hope Rocco gets a cool job. The point here is with Living City, you cannot forget to screen them. You have to respect their damage. And you cannot walk into a killing field. That's all I want to do. And then, what? Step 3. Yeah, there was a step 3 here. Have a plan. Right, the plan is play the battle plan. You don't care about all the fancy movement shenanigans people can do. You know what? Because it costs a command point for me to do the double move. Kill my heroes. There's enough magic flying around. There's enough mortal wounds flying in this game. Charge my Fulminators so that they can't charge you. You know what? We can only do our movement trick if we're outside of 9 inches of an enemy unit. If we're stuck in combat, we can't use it to make a normal move and retreat. We're not Blood Knights. We are not as scary and versatile as everyone's thinking. It's just y'all aren't used to playing against us. And I need to go to some of these bigger tournaments, apparently, to go and take a wider field because all my locals caught on to me. Dang it. Maybe I want to go to Washington State or go to one of these things out in Arizona. I don't know. Texas apparently has a great time for Living City. Well, congrats to Gavin for winning the whole thing, and now I get a nice little target on my back because I play Living City too. But no, seriously, congrats to everybody involved. I heard it was a great time and a great event. And people keep asking me, what do you do? Well, that. You ask again? Go back to the beginning of this video. Watch it again. Even the joke about how I shaved my beard off and now I have a goatee. Laugh again. Enjoy yourself. Thank you for coming to class. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have any more questions on other things you want me to do videos on to answer. And you know what? If this video gets 20 likes, I'll do another battle report. Seem good? Alright. Thanks for watching. And as I like to say at the end of all of our videos, class dismissed. Bye. Oh yeah, and dragons are a